And welcome back to Saturday Report, everybody. I'm Rita Cosby. U.S. fighter jets striking Iranian proxy targets in Syria, facilities used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The attacks came after many strikes on U.S. troops in Syria and Iraq. This as Israeli ground forces are moving into Gaza, pounding targets as we speak. And joining us now is Florida Governor and 2024 presidential candidate, Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, it's really great to have you here, especially on such an important day. And I know you're speaking there at the Jewish event there in Las Vegas. It could not come at a more pivotal time, don't you think?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, these are always, I've been coming to this gathering for years and years. There's a lot of great friends, and it's always something that's a lot of fun. But this year, it's a much different context because we have massive conflict now in Israel versus Hamas, the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust on October 7th. And so the world is just different now. But I think you're going to see a group that is going to be solidly behind the state of Israel. And I'm going to deliver the message. I don't care what some imbecile on a college campus says. I don't care what liars in the media say. And I certainly don't care what worthless institutions like the United Nations say. We are going to stand with Israel in this dark hour for them.
You talked about college campuses. Do you believe some of these individuals that are out there protesting, many of them are foreign nationals? And I know Tim Scott, who is also running for president there on the GOP side, he has said deport them. If they are out there and they are spewing sort of pro-Hamas messages, deport them. Do you agree with that?
I was the first candidate to say that if you have foreign visa holders out there making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling their visa, and I'm sending them back. That's a bare minimum. They don't have a right to be here on a student visa. It's a privilege to be here on a student visa. There's a lot of Americans that would probably want those slots. There's other foreign nationals who actually like the United States who would probably want. So they have no right to have those visas. And if they're going to make common cause with terrorism, we are going to eject. We actually took action in Florida in our state university system because you have one of the student groups is called Students for Justice in Palestine. And that national group, which they have these campus affiliates, they said publicly after the attacks that they don't stand in solidarity with Hamas, that they are part of what Hamas is doing. Well, you may have a right to say certain things, but that's material support to terrorism if you're saying you're part of what they're doing. So we deactivated the Students for Justice in Palestine, and we're the first state to step up to the plate and do that.
What's your reaction when you hear that even some of these protesters are burning the American flag? They were doing that in front of New York City Hall. To me, that was chilling.
Well, I'll tell you this. I say, Rita, I was I was a blue-collar kid growing up in Florida. I ended up working my way through Yale and Harvard. And I tell people I'm one of the few that have gone through both and come out more conservative than when I went in, because these universities have long been known as being hotbeds of left-wing activism. But I must say, in my day, yeah, you had a lot of things that these students would do that were outrageous, but actually celebrating a terrorist attack when the blood wasn't even dry on some of these Israeli civilians, you had students out there celebrating Hamas. It has gotten worse over the last couple decades. There is a sickness on these college campuses. I don't know why American taxpayers are funding these universities if that's the type of garbage they're going to produce. And the response by a lot of these university administrators have been absolutely pathetic, particularly in places like the Ivy League. And Harvard, they're offering counseling for Palestinian Arabs who may feel bad. They're not doing anything to help their Jewish students who are now under attack. You saw what happened in Cooper Union in New York City. This is as bad as it's been in my lifetime, and these universities are a big part of the problem.
Yeah, it is stunning to see the reactions. You know, Governor, what do you think of President Biden's tepid comments towards Iran as their proxies continue to hit U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria? Obviously, they did those 2 strikes, but then hours later, there was another strike on U.S. facilities. So they clearly didn't get the message.
Well, just this past week, we commemorated the 40th anniversary of the Marine Corps barracks bombing in Beirut, Lebanon in 1983. It was the deadliest day in the history of the Marine Corps since Iwo Jima. That was funded and orchestrated by the Iranians. We know when I served in Iraq on active duty back in the day, Iran was killing a lot of our service members using these Shiite militia groups. So Biden has known how hostile Iran is to both Israel and the United States, and he chose when he came into office to relax sanctions. They've had massive amounts of money flowing into their coffers. That regime is not going to use that money to make life better for the Iranian people. They're going to use that to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, to export terrorism around the world. I don't think Hamas would have been able to carry out the attack that they did if it weren't for Biden loosening the screws on Iran and allowing that money to flow. So now you're in a situation where he has some of our troops in the Middle East. It's not clear what their mission is. It's not clear that they're there in large enough numbers to even accomplish a mission, but there are enough of them to be inviting targets from our enemies. So he's letting Iran take pot shots at our service members. The response that they did was targeting empty weapons depots. There was not even any IRGC members around, so it was definitely a tepid response. Biden's weakness is inviting more attacks against American troops. He needs to open his eyes. He needs to clear his administration out of all these Iran sympathizers. He should withdraw Jack Lew as the ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Israel nominee, and he should get real with what Iran is doing.
Yeah, it is very, very serious. And obviously the stakes so high. Florida governor and 2024 presidential candidate, Governor Ron DeSantis, great to have you back here on the show. Hope to have you back on again soon.
We'll do it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.